Hi, Ian. We're going to torture you now with tales of probably the most racist caricature of Warhammer Fantasy in existence.
I want to argue with you, Fee, because I was like, oh, but I'm like, they are, all the previous races are racist, but it's like everyone's racist in this world, it seems like.
This is like Warhammer racism, but also meta racism on top of it.
But also, we then have to add another level because it's British meta commentary on racism, question mark.
We hope it's commentary on racism and not towards it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. Like, to actually jump into a bit of media, I was listening to a Kill James Bond podcast. They were talking about one of the OSS, which was made along the same side of James Bond, in fact, technically before, but same era of writing. And they were talking about how one of the modern remakes was trying to poke fun at racism, but I forget the term they use, where it's like hey, we're poking fun at the racism, but we're actually being really racist. And it's that fine line that people like Mel Brooks walked really well, like, Exhibit A, Blazing Saddles. Unfortunately, the OSS movie they were talking about, it falls on its ass because it's just straight racism.
That's fair. So for me on media right now, someone is repeatedly trying to make me look at Bionicle stuff I've never looked at before.
You just unlocked a core memory. I didn't watch Bionicles, but like I was we both are of the era, but I remember seeing the commercials for them on TV and thinking, oh, these are neat, but never kid interest, like whatever. I had other things I was into. And then finding out later as an adult, there was this weird emo, edgy subculture that was apparently into it.
I mean, yeah, I understand, and I'm trying to understand and give this a full chance, and we'll see where it goes. The other thing is I finally got to watch a movie that I wanted to see in theaters, but by the time I could go to the theater at that particular time, it was out of theaters, and then I could never, ever just find it. Somebody sat me down and let me watch The Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh, that's a really good movie. Seriously, and it's interesting. The guy who... I remember, I was rewatching it a while ago, and it's by the novelist Roald Dahl. I can never say his last name. I'm like, wait, that's the dude who wrote the Willy Wonka, books. Wait, what?
Yeah.
But the movie itself, I don't know if you had this realization movie at some point, and I did it because, George Clooney voices the character. I'm like, one part of this movie is Ocean's 11. Then it becomes Ocean's 12. Then it becomes Ocean's 13. Because it becomes a heist movie halfway through the thing. Or wait, no. Anyways, go on.
So I genuinely was just like, this is kind of awesome. And very British.
Oh, yeah. It's weird how British it is, because at least my lens of
Because Mr. Fox is clearly American.
Yeah. Well, again.
But everything else around him is British.
Yeah. Oh, God, you're so right. It is.
And I'm just like, you know what? I'm okay with this. This has turned out well. This has been a good day. But that's media for me this week. Well, so far everything seems pretty okay. My subathon. I am.
Yeah, what's it at as of today, May 8th, 2025? What is the subathon at?
So yesterday there was a point where it was down to 4 hours.
Oh, when I saw you make the post in your news channel saying, oh yeah, we might get through this, I just looked at it going, oh honey, oh dear, oh sweet child. You don't...
I am the sweet summer child today, because yesterday there was a point in the stream, I went and checked last night, we were down to 4 hours and 22 minutes. We are now at 19 hours, 50 minutes, and 40 seconds.
I think, Fee, at this point, to put a dent into it, I think you and I should legitimately do this podcast during a stream.
I am gonna do. I'm gonna get so part of tonight's goal is to get all the podcast episodes queued up, get all the Warhammer Fantasy RPG episodes queued up, but also like next week, if we're still going, I'm just gonna look at you and go, we're just gonna record the podcast during stream.
I have no problem with that. As long as it works with my schedule, I have no problem with it.
And then if it's still going after my birthday, I'm gonna straight up do a sleep stream. Like I'm gonna do a sleep stream and pray it's over.
I realize. Oh, is there any other media feed? Because I realized I watched a whole bunch of others. Not. Was there any others you want to mention or talk about?
No, I have not managed to watch anything else.
Okay.
Because I've either been working or I've been streaming, which is also working.
Okay. Since we last recorded this last time in a car, I recorded it in a car. Yeah, because things. Anyways, I'm not well. The first movie had no correlation to current events. My mom and I watched Conclave, and then in response to current events, we then watched The Two Popes, which was interesting because for those who don't know, Conclave is more of a fictional event happening, while obviously The Two Popes is based on actual events. But it was because I could do a whole podcast on it, but it was just interesting how there were similarities, how they both kind of were addressing kind of the politics of picking a new pope. And I will say right now, I have no idea who is the new pope right now, but it was just fascinating to see two different directors' takes on a similar event.
Okay. So, the new pope is Robert Prevost, who's taken the name Leo the 14th, and he is the first ever American pope. Now this gets even funnier because he's from Chicago.
Oh, okay. Now is he?
So I'm just trying to imagine the Pope addressing someone with the thickest, most stereotypical
Chicago accent.
Yeah, like just straight up, and then he has to speak Italian
or wherever, because the Pope goes like around the world. Obviously, to a certain bit, there are translators, but usually the Pope tries to speak that country's language. Now, without getting too political, I'll just say this: is he cool? Is he one of the cool ones, or is it like, oh no, we put another? Do we have another Pope? Do we have Chicago Pope Francis?
Okay. I don't know if we have Pope Francis continued or Pope Dark Sidious again. Okay. I don't know. I'm hoping. But what we do know is that this man has been in the church for his entire life.
Okay.
I kind of wish that was a joke.
Yeah.
But he was born in 55. He was an altar boy. And he became an ordained priest in 82. Which means that there was only a 3-year period where he was not directly in service. He did not have a direct in-service church position in his entire life.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to stop there because we can talk about this, so I'll just speed run the rest of the media I've watched. I watched Clueless, which was kind of one of those movies. I'm like, I kept hearing about it. I'm like, okay, this was fun, and what I liked about it is one of my gripes in media is the airheaded character. Like, I think it's Phoebe in Friends, to me, is the definition of it done wrong. The lead gal in Clueless, is it done right? Where it's like, yeah, they're not technically book smart, they're in their own world, but they're not dumb. And I just like how they write the character where she's like, they even like one of the opening scenes is they're having an argument. It's like, our debate assignment in class, and it's like, should we allow immigrants in or should we not? And she gives this weird comparison of like, her daddy's some rich lawyer, and saying how it's like having a party and you have some extra guests, so you just go back into the kitchen and get some more plates. And she says that's what the government needs to do, is just go get some more plates, which on the surface is a silly joke, but then when you think about it, it's still a pretty cool and progressive stance of just like, hey, we got the resources, let more people in. And that's kind of the bit throughout the rest of the movie is just kind of a fun, like, okay, this was a 90s movie and it was a lot of fun. I'm sure. Ooh, I'll end on this one. A really cool documentary series. Well, actually, a few. Dirty Pop, which tells the story about the guy behind the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC. That's a fascinating documentary series to watch. Though, to go back to what I mentioned about a decent use of AI in Churchill, for some reason they have like a deep fake version of this dude, and I'm like, all he's doing is sitting at a desk. Why do we need to see that? We have the recording of his stuff, but whatever. But that was still a fascinating like look at the music industry, especially that era, because my mom and I grew up during Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, the boy band era. Like I listened to them only like as a kid, like, oh, that's what's on the radio. But as again, a straight white male, I was like, okay, this tune on the radio is cute, and then I went on with my life. But then realizing how obsessed people were, I was like, oh my god, I forgot about that era. Like obviously it still exists today, but to the extent it was then. And then I'll end on this documentary called Diamond Heist. You heard of this one?
No,
You may have heard.
you're giving me all new media.
You may have heard of the event. In 2000, do you know of the Millennium Dome in England?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that big. For those who don't know, it's just a big. It's basically this big, huge tent in air quotes. But when it opened, this was like the prime era of Britannia, where England was proud to be England, and there wasn't a political divide. Like, for example, in America, someone holds an American flag that kind of has dog whistles. But at the time in England was like everyone was just proud to be Britain. But anyways, as part of it, they had this diamond exhibit. And this gang of thieves then tries to steal it. And then it's this kind of both from the police side, and they actually were interviewing the guy who planned it from the thieves side. So it was this cool cat and mouse game. But what's funny was I'd seen a plainly difficult video about it, so I knew how it ended. But it's one of those stories where you're like, you know how it ends, but you want to still know what happened between point A and point B, and it does it really well.
Okay.
And I'll just
Nice.
And the only other thing I've been up to, besides just some work here and there and other things I'll get to in another time, but I have gotten, and I mentioned it in Winning, or what's the room you have in your Discord channel? By the way, Fee, and well, actually, listeners, for those of you who happen to be listening to this and don't know, Fee has a Discord channel that you can join. Yeah.
Yes, we have we have what I call an incredibly sporadic active Discord. It is made up of all of the random interests that I have picked up over the years. There is Warhammer stuff on there. There is also Helldivers. There is also My Little Freaking Pony, because I still have to finish writing the fourth Fallout Equestria book, which I have started pre-orders on. It's supposed to come out in August, if not in October, depending on how quickly we can get it finished. There's also just like Pokemon, Warframe. There's a Warframe group that gets together every Friday night and plays Warframe for hours. So like, to emphasize the size of this place, by the way, currently my Discord server features, and this may be intimidating to some of you. According to, how do I, like, I used to be able just to see this.
Yeah,
glance.
there's a view that tells you exactly how many, even from a non-mod standpoint, it like tells you how many are on.
There should just be a way just to see it.
Well,
I don't see
well,
it.
she's looking at that. I'll just explain the other thing I've been up to, which was because I mentioned on the but Fee's got a channel just about winning or accomplishments in life, and one of them was I had applied to a whole bunch of cruise lines because while the thing with NCL ended badly and I resigned, I still want to work on cruise ships. So I applied to a bunch of different cruise lines. I won't mention the ones that didn't get back to me, but the one that did was Cunard. And funny, bless you. Last week I had an interview with the bless you again, with the gentleman in charge of Shoreside for the tech side. And then this morning I had an HR interview, and I'm really excited. I have a good feeling I will probably get it. I'm not going to, count as they say, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. But I have a good feeling it's going to go well. I get to do what I love doing sound. It'll be the main theater, and I'll be what's called an officer. So I actually do have some authority. For those who do know, I'll have 1.5 stripes. So I actually have some kind of rank in it. And I'll just end the famous thing about what Cunard has is they have currently the only revenue-making ocean liner still in existence. And funny enough, the only other ones that are preserved are all of its ancestors. But the Queen Mary II is the ship they have that's so famous. Because it's like most of your cruise ships are designed to be in the Caribbean and then the Mediterranean. No, Queen Mary II is literally designed to go fight the Atlantic Ocean.
Does it win at fighting the Atlantic Ocean?
As winning as you can be fighting the ocean. Almost every week it goes to Southampton to New York, and then goes from New York back to Southampton. They put it other places depending on the season, but yeah, it fights the Atlantic Ocean and it makes it to the other side of the ocean of the Atlantic. So I think that's considered
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I could see that. It just goes out to the Atlantic. It's like a boxing match between a ship and a goddamn ocean.
Yeah, and it wins. It doesn't. But anyways, I could talk more about it. But let's talk about Japan and Warhammer.
So to answer the question from earlier, the number is 744.
Nice.
We do not have to have a nitro boost to have a permanent unique server URL anymore.
Nice.
But yeah, anyway. So very big server, lots of things there. You can be quiet and lurk, or you can, pick a particular group and be like, hey, I want to do the thing. So like I said, we have a group of people on Friday who do Warframe. We have a group of people who coordinate to do Helldivers. It's just, fun stuff. Have fun. It's also like when I'm streaming, at least once a week, I have open comms. Now, sometimes I have what's called semi-open comms where you have to come in and ask permission, and that's just me keeping the number of people in the channel down. But when I'm streaming, generally speaking, you can just join me on that server and come in and talk. Now, in the meantime, we want to talk about Nippon, aka Warhammer Japan. Now, bringing up the ye old Warhammer map. Warhammer Nippon is how you say very, 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 very far away.
Like we talking like Japan and or Hawaii distance from California, we in our world far away.
It is where Japan is.
I like
the most. So when I say it's where Japan is, it's really more where the Philippines are.
Okay.
So this is one of few maps of the world that shows where it is. I'm gonna have to send this to Ian as well. But as you can see on the right hand middle, way over there, away from where 90% of the events in Warhammer that are described as happening take place, you have Nippon.
Yeah, I see what you mean by why that's where the Philippines are.
Yeah. It's where the Philippines are technically in our world. It is.
Also, just quick side note.
And every other map with locations and stuff doesn't even show it.
Yeah, it's like Hawaii technically doesn't show up on a bunch of maps unless they put the little indent at the bottom and be like, yeah, here's what this tiny little dot is. But yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, Nippon, aka Warhammer Japan.
Long ago, back in the days of Unga Bunga and fire, men moved east to attempt to escape the greenskins and chaos, and they kept going east. They kept saying, this isn't far east enough. And then they arrived in Nippon, and they were like, okay, we can't go any further east. Why? The ocean said no. That's a good reason.
They did not have the Queen Mary II that could fight the ocean.
They did not. They did not. They would try to cross the Great Ocean, not knowing that it would, lead them just back around to where they came from. um, and sea monsters, which we've talked about, would destroy their ships, or great calamities would happen, or the ships would just never return. But around the time that Sigmar and the Empire was finally uniting against the Greenskins, Nippon was already united under a single person who called themselves the Emperor Warlord. He is the Emperor and the Shogun.
For as much as I know a lot about Japan, I am always a little confused. So what is, to give the real world comparison, what is a Shogun? And
okay,
yeah.
So where we have the idea that kings and queens, like European idea of kings and queens, and to a greater degree, Arabic idea of kings and queens is God ordained it or God willed it for me to be in charge.
Right.
Eastern idea of kings and queens, that's why they're called emperors, is not that. That is the living embodiment of God.
Ah, okay.
And Shogun is kind of the military leader, the person who runs the day-to-day affairs and technically has more power than the emperor, but that's a whole different discussion. But in the meantime, this guy had basically declared himself both.
Oh, okay.
And we don't know who he was.
Wait, he's just a dude. He doesn't have a name?
He has a name. His name is Yamya Kukri. One word, Yamya Kukri. The first. He ruled for 12 years and died. That's all we know.
We don't know anything about his history or anything else. That's it.
Nope. He ruled for 12 years and he died. The reason we don't know is because Nippon has shrouded its history purposely in myths and legends and ideas that continuously contradict each other. There's not even an official line of succession that does not contradict another official line of succession from history. People will go in and erase people they didn't like and write in other people.
Again, this is where I feel like Games Workshop is trying to make a commentary on something.
And basically, yeah, every emperor has rewritten history to his own liking, and spends many of his days constantly debating and rewriting historical figures, or changing them altogether, or writing them out altogether. So that the numerous history books of Nippon are just contradictions.
So literally, like we have Encyclopedia Britannica, whatever, volume 2 and 3. In this example, 2 and 3 may have two. It may be useful to have 2 and to have 3 because it's not just an update, but a complete change.
Yes. It is such a massive complete change that outside of Nippon, we're not even sure what the fuck their religion is.
Really?
Society-wise, Nippon is ruled as the divine sun. The emperor is in charge of all the warlords who rule various regions. And you have the idea of commoners and samurai. And samurai are the one. It is the idea. Samurai are the ones who are allowed to fight and wield weapons and bully the peasantry. Samurai dominate Nipponese society to an extreme degree.
Do we get to have? I know I might be jumping ahead. Do we get to have Nipponese ninjas?
Yeah.
Yes, or was that a no?
Yes, yes, we do.
Right, go on.
I'm getting there.
All right, cool. Go on. So samurais bullying the civilians.
And then we have the one time that we see an actual rebellion.
Ooh.
Called The Tale of Sanyo Kawasaki. This is just one of these stories that have filtered down. Kawasaki was bitterly opposed to the government in his country, which he regarded as weak and liberal. Matters were brought to a head when a foreign ship was seen off the west coast of Elves, and the authorities did not attempt to sink it. Such a lost opportunity to cause mayhem and destruction to the foreign enemies of Nippon was an anathema to any true samurai. He assembled an army and attempted to lay siege to the capital. It was an utter failure. 1,000 dudes showed up to the capital and tried to lay siege when the capital's garrison is over 10,000. After this bitter loss and disdain, he committed ritual suicide, which he decided to do in a manner by standing on his head in a bucket of cold water.
What?
You heard me.
I believe you, Fee, but I also don't believe you just because I know this is Warhammer. What?
He stood on his head in a bucket of cold water and had them lock him in place with a pillory.
Okay, that makes a little bit more sense now, but still incredibly stupid. But go on.
That is kind of... So, religion-wise, this is why their religion is so confusing. They worship a god called Orange Simica. Monks wear orange robes to represent that they are of that they worship this god and work for them. Simica is a martial. Think of Buddha. Okay, okay, I'm about to insult every Buddhist in the world, and I understand. Please don't be mad at me. I'm reading the lore. I'm trying to find a way to describe this that is not absolutely insulting. Think of Buddha, like the image of Buddha, okay?
Which one? The original Indian one or the Chinese one we all think of?
The original Indian one. The skinny, peaceful monk who approaches you arms open.
Cool. Go on.
Now give him 2 samurai swords and a devilish grin.
Yeah, that's Warhammer.
Giant stone statues are inhabited by Simica, called temple dogs. They're in the shape of these giant dogs. They breathe fire and protect his temples. They move around. There are no living fleshy bits in these dogs.
What are they made of again?
Stone.
Oh, okay.
And in wartime, if you are blessed by the temple, the statues will come to aid you.
Okay, not gonna lie, that's kind of cool.
Including particularly blessed warlords being able to mount these divine animals and ride them as their mounts into battle.
Okay, that little bit I felt like a Weebo wrote that, but go on.
Now here's the fun part. Religion is not universal in Nippon, and some Nipponese worship Lord Shitten-sen, who in the old world we know as Tzeentch.
I feel like I should know who Tzeentch is, but...
So Tzeentch is the chaos god of change.
Oh, that guy!
He's why my bird avatar that we're talking with has, the clothes they do and the glowing green eyes. Yeah, that guy. And Orange Simica and his temple dogs sound an awful lot like Korn.
Yeah, because didn't you mention, I remember because we did the Chaos Gods last time, that they do go by multiple names.
Uh-huh.
So already, we got Chaos Gods in Japan. All right.
The whole reason, however, that elves, Cathayans, aka Warhammer China, or other people would come to Nippon is because Nippon is the only producer of silk.
Really? This entire world, and only this one part can make silk.
Mm-hmm.
Plot armor.
Because the silkworms that produce it require the magical essence of Simica to be infused into them in order to produce it.
Oh, okay. Magic bullshit's the reason. Okay.
Magic bullshit. Yep, total reason. And it has been found that because of this silk trade, ports as far west as Marienburg, which is next to the Empire, have small amounts of Nipponese coins in circulation and don't know where the hell they came from.
Yeah, it's like when you get a random penny or something that just got... Why do I have this, at least from where I live, why do I have this sudden random Canadian coin?
But, Mandenburg specifically sends out expeditions to go all the way to Nippon and come all the way back, and they've been doing it for hundreds of years. It is the only port that has formalized relations with Nippon at all. However, in order to prevent the spread of what could potentially be heresy, Marienburg has banned all Nipponese books from circulation. Because let's face it, it sounds a lot like the Nipponese are worshipping aspects of gods of chaos.
Yeah.
And then the other part of this that has to be accounted for is when we talked about chaos last time.
Yeah.
We talked about Archeon the ever failure. I mean, ever chosen. Excuse me. I had a little hiccup there.
What's the difference? It's the meme. Corporal would like you to tell the difference between these two pictures. They're the same picture.
And someone and I'm going to point this out because someone's going to ask us in the comments. Where did Archeon get the navy to cross the ocean? It turns out that Archeon's navy is made up of Nipponese pirates. That's his naval forces.
Okay.
Yeah. And Nippon also has a problem with their southernmost island has a whole lot of beastmen. It's almost like the origin of the beastmen is on that island or something. I don't know. Totally not dropping hints.
Yeah, totally not dropping hints about an episode is probably going to be one of our most edited down one. Because you keep telling me that one's some pretty brain breach. But anyways, so Nippon. So what else?
That's it. That's all the information we have before we get into the Nipponese military. I knew this was going to be a shorter episode because the Games Workshop has not really expanded this place enough.
Well, one, story-wise, but two, now this is both a related and unrelated question. You mentioned the silk trade. This is a Warhammer as a world. We have the era of, you say, it's a black powder and pike, as it's called?
Shot and pike.
Thank you, shot and pike. You may chuckle at this fee, but for me, it's a good world building. In Warhammer fantasy, is not the stupid when we made the dwarf episode and we talked about that's a train with extra steps. Does the train ever get developed in this world or no?
The Chaos Dwarfs have this thing called a land train.
Yeah, that's not a train fee. I will fight you on this.
It's exactly what it sounds like. That's like the closest thing we get to the train.
Okay, the only reason why I brought that whole topic up, and it's weird considering it's one of those weird moments like you guys are British and you don't have real trains. But anyways, because trains can make trade so much.
They have primitive steam engines. But instead of using them for immediate figuring out how to use them for commercial usage, they're so hard to make that they just straight up use them for warfare.
Yeah. And now I have to stop myself. It's like, Scott, this is a world that logic of even humans doesn't get put in there because, as insert again my Paul Simon quote I say every time, it's like, oh wait, all the Games Workshop wants to do with this world is find more reasons for people to fight. The idea of like, oh, let's have somewhat harmony. I'm like, you can get both, you guys. Let's move on.
I have to illustrate with how over the top that they've gone with steam technology without making trains. Those have caterpillar tracks. The dwarves make them. They are exactly what they look like.
So it's steampunk that refuses to acknowledge goggles, top hats, and trains, basically.
Oh, it has top hats, but it refuses to acknowledge trains and goggles.
Which is like half the appeal of steampunk is the romanticization of steam trains. Oh my god, if I ever meet a writer who's in charge of, well, I'll have many questions, but, you know, as we've said, first of all, where did you go to school? Because I need to find where you went to school and slept. Whoever's in charge because you failed sex ed. But it's like the other, on the long list, I'm like, you do know what steampunk is. Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about the famous people before my blood pressure goes up.
So we're not going to immediately jump into famous people. We're first going to describe their general military.
Okay.
And I've got some really, really sad news. Most of the famous people we only get a small amount of information about. So let's start with the Bombardier. So remember those rocket launchers from Mulan?
Yeah, vaguely.
What if, I don't know, 100 guys stood in formation and used those as their exclusive primary weapon?
So they're just using it as artillery? Question mark.
Oh no! They're using it as direct fire.
Oh,
They're using it the same way that we use a musket.
Fee, again, we need to add this to the list of things that Games Workshop writers need to go back to school for. I need to sit them down in a living room and be like, hey, here's History Channel, and History Channel was good and showed World War II stuff. Here you go. You need to learn how fucking warfare works, you morons. Anyways.
So next up, we have the Vim 2 Mage. Now, Vim 2 Mages are in the same category as Priests of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
They get their powers from the divine. But here's the catch.
Okay.
They do not fight with any weapon.
But it's just I cast fist?
I cast fist so hard I punch through plate mail.
Oh, okay. Okay. Boonga boonga, but on your fist. Got it.
Yes. And also, they are known to dodge bullets. And in one case of extraordinary ability, when an Empire handgunner shot at him, he redirected the bullet back at the handgunner and killed the handgunner.
Someone was watching The Matrix one too many times when they wrote this.
Yep, I agree. So now we get into actual military units that are not just like super specialist.
Okay, guys. I was about to say, these all sound like special ops.
So first we have the standard samurai arquebus squad. Arquebus being the weapon they use. It is a primitive musket.
Oh god, Fee. Oh my god. Fee, I know you probably tried to find the least racist picture, but oh my god. This is oof.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that kind of episode.
Yeah.
Anyone who is of Asian descent, we are sorry. We did not make this.
We are very, very sorry. Up next, we have everyone who played Total War Warhammer, Total War Shogun will know these guys. The Ashigaru, or Peasant Army. These are non-samurai who have been drafted.
Also, in the racist picture you sent me, also for those wanting to complain about the racism, please send your strongly worded letters to Game Workshop. Anyways, there's
a reason why these aren't in Total Warhammer 3 yet, and it is because they're like, how do we make this not racist? Well, we make Cathay not racist. We can make this not racist. And they look at this and they're like, that's gonna be really hard.
Okay, the second picture has toned down the racism much more. Like first picture, I'm like, oh, that's a Looney Tunes World War II propaganda film racism. This one, like, okay, this is at least artistic.
So I'm not showing a picture of these. I want to emphasize this point. Ian, this is not okay to show. Do not look this up. The third non-samurai military unit we have to look at is kamikaze suicide squads.
Oh, God.
Young fanatical warriors so devoted to the cause that their armor is casks of black powder and bandoliers of explosives that they light as they charge into battle.
Let's just move. We have to just wade through this racism, don't we?
A little bit, but now we get to the fun part. Ninja assassins.
All right, let's go.
They have ninja assassins. They come with a variety of gear and weapons. So here's an artistic rendering, and here is a different artistic rendering. In actual like tabletop, they're one of the few units who have the choice of. So you have hand weapon, unarmed, other hand weapon, short ranged weapon, which is like the Kursagama with the chain attached, and then the funniest shit to ever exist. There is an entire unit of ogre ninjas.
Oonga boonga, but shh, oonga boonga.
Like, when I say an entire unit, I mean 50 guys who in a tabletop war game can go, okay, we're going to deploy on the second turn anywhere on the map because you didn't see us until that moment. And they're ogres. I'm not going to talk about how the ogres have stealth like that.
Japanese magic bullshit go.
Yeah.
Though I now wish this is where this would be hilarious. For those who ever seen like James Bond with Russia from Love or any spy movie where you have, either our hero or villain being shown training camp. I'm now picturing that trope scene, but it's just a bunch of ogres getting ninja training school.
Yep. And then we have the samurai classes. We have samurai with swords, we have samurai with crossbows, we have samurai with with bow and arrow, we have samurai on mounted cavalry, we have samurai on mounted archery cavalry, we have samurai crossbowmen on mounted cavalry, we have samurai on stone dogs wielding arquebuses and grenade bombs along with their swords and spears. Ian, just feel free to layer all of these on here all at once. We have samurai on attack kites.
Wait, attack kites? Or is it like the little
They fire them out of a trebuchet in mass, and they act like paratroopers.
The goblins would like to know your location.
You remember the goblins, except for these guys land alive.
Yeah, but it's the same energy.
We have and then for absolutely silliness, we have the samurai master on the Kirin unicorn.
You lost me at unicorn. What?
So Japan has unicorns, but their versions of unicorns call lightning and thunder and are omens of awful badness. The Nipponese military has integrated unicorns directly into their military, and if you're ever allowed to ride one, you are the greatest samurai ever. Here's an image of a man riding in a unicorn that the horn is broken off of.
See, my brain is having trouble processing riding a unicorn into battle. I get it, my brain, but also at the same time, these are
a unicorn that can cause earthquakes, and call lightning storm the same way the druid does, which
Oh, I'm not denying its tactical use. But it's still, it's still kind of redonkulous. You got to admit. All right, do we get it?
No. I need to pause for like 30 seconds because there's a little thing that I have to emphasize this point, and I'm not gonna make Ian like edit this part in. I'm just gonna show it to you. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what the mount of these samurai warlords are doing actively when they go into battle.
Okay. Not just lightning storm. Also,
that is what you're dealing with, and that's not even a joke. That's what you're dealing with, and it's their mount. It's not even like the primary threat. It's just the thing he's riding.
Also, that video, was that implied to be Gotrek and Felix, or was that just I'm connected?
It's a D&D video,
Oh,
but if you
okay.
want to apply it to be I want to see a Gotrek and Felix novel happen in Nippon.
God, that oh my God, that would I would pay.
Where Gotrek is there because he heard of a rogue Kirin and wants to kill
Oh
it.
my God, that'd be so hype.
Artillery wise, they have stone throwers, which they do use for their samurai kite, for their kite samurai. Also, you can literally like there's a rule where if you have someone who's paid the kite samurai price, they can just run up to a stone thrower and just get thrown immediately, no questions asked.
Now they're kites.
But they're basically trebuchets.
Now the kite,
Go ahead.
the kite throwing the kite. I forgot to ask because I was overwhelmed by it. Are they like? You said paratroopers, so do they have parachutes, or are they kind of like with Aang from Last Airbender, where they have one of those like little glidey things? Which method are they doing?
They more have like what are those things that like people get in that look like bicycles that have like a big ass kite type thing on top of them?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. So the one, oh,
Yeah, they're more like that, except for they don't have the bicycle part. It's just rigged to their back, and they have a ripcord they pull when they want it to let go.
oh, okay.
They also have bolt throwers, like ballistas, and then they have their version of a cannon, which is more stuck in place. It doesn't have wheels. It kind of, or it can have wheels, but it's much more a. Once you put this down, you're not really moving it until the horse comes up and gets it. And they do enchant their cannons, so not only is the ball that comes out of them a cannonball, it's also a wizard's fireball.
At this point, stuff like this, after the dwarf episode, not much is really going to surprise me in terms of weaponry.
Okay,
And,
I want to emphasize this. I want to emphasize this point
and Fee took that personally.
because the last two things in their military might surprise you as weaponry.
Okay, let's go. Let's see.
So first we have the rocket crew. And nothing terribly like 1812 level rocket, really big rocket. How big a rocket? Oh, it has a 100-pound warhead.
Yeah, again, okay, I can see the line of logic. We have things that can shoot things at people we don't like. Okay.
And then someone got an idea. And should have kept it to themselves.
Okay, is this like the George Carlin bit where he tells about the history about the flamethrower?
No. So, what if the rocket was guided?
Let me guess. I want to take a guess.
Go ahead.
Is it guided by kamikazes?
Yep.
Yep. All right.
So they rig 3 of these. I cannot find a picture right now, but they rig 3 of these things together. Put a person on the middle one and fire it, and the person has a primitive sail to guide it to the target. And it says, mind-numbingly stupid as it is apparently effective.
We have magic that guides cannonballs. Why do we need to kamikaze this? Like the
I know, right?
Like, okay, big bold statement. Kamikaze is kind of a bad thing, but it's like you use kamikaze historically when you are like low on resources and you are desperate, i.e., Japan World War II.
They just use the Nippon just uses kamikazes because they have too many people, and some of the people are really fanatical about their cause.
Wait, so for lack of a better term, they have the Russian World War II where you just got bodies.
Yes.
Oh, okay. See, this is what makes my brain hurt sometimes. Like moments like this where I'm like, Games Workshop being like, oh, we'll take this bit of history, but then we'll flip it, but not in the fun way. I'm like, but wait,
So
yeah, right.
most of these people I'm about to mention, we don't actually have pictures of. I'm just gonna send like the whole like list to Ian, and if he finds a picture of or someone that could pass for them, it's okay. But here are the notable people. We also don't have a whole lot of information about them at all. And I wish we did, because it feels like this was done, and it's Nippon is one of the last Warhammer factions to be done. And then like people were immediately like, "Wait a minute, did we do a bad? You might have done a bad and need to do some course correction here." I mean, I'm going to compliment Total War Warhammer 3. They successfully did course correction with Cathay in such a way that the Chinese government rubber stamped it and said, okay, you can sell this in our country.
Okay.
Which, knowing how strict and stupid over the top the Chinese government is with censorship, you did a good. I hate to give Creative Assembly credit. They did a good. I'm wondering if they can do a good with this and the Kingdom of Id and the Snake People, because I really want my Snake People in Warhammer Fantasy because they're actually really cool. But anyway,
well, okay. This is gonna sound stupid, and this is gonna be the definition of I'm a guy. Do Snake People in Warhammer have boobs? Yes or no?
So to answer your question,
the pause concerns me a lot, Fee.
To answer your question. There's so little information on the Snake People and the hinterlands of Kurdesh that I would just have to do the entire hinterlands of Kurdesh and the Kingdom of Id together to even make an episode.
Ooh.
So the answer is the Snake People have shown up 4 times in Warhammer lore, which means that just like the Vampire Coast guys, Creative Assembly is basically going to have to make a mountain out of nothing.
So it goes in the category about in Warhammer elves growing facial hair. We don't see any elves, but there's nothing that says they can't. So it's that kind of thing.
Correct. And as far as the Snake Men of Kurdesh and Kingdom of Id go, we don't know.
Okay.
What we do know is that the Snake People do take prisoners, and they don't necessarily eat all of them.
Okay, that's enough of that part.
And the survivors are not slaves.
Okay, that took an interesting turn in a good way, huh?
That's all we really actually know. Though there is that part of the internet where we just need to hit the alarm. Ian, you know the alarm. It starts with V. Just hit that alarm really hard right now because it needs to happen. Anyway, so we have Yamaya Kukri the first unified ruler of Nippon. As far as we know, was eventually succeeded by someone called Shotoko, who is also referred to as the Dark Empress, and wielded the invisible army and created the disciplines of the shinobi, aka the ninjas.
Well, that answered a question I was going to ask at some point.
The first Lady Emperor and what we believe is the second Emperor created ninjas.
So the second Emperor, well, wait, Empress, technically, if we're being technical, right?
Yes.
But I gotta say, though, as kooky and as weird and racist as Nippon is, weirdly progressive in this one part, when you think about it, that all the other ones, it took a really long time for there finally to be an empress or a queen ruler, and unified ruler number 2 is a woman.
Yes. And the really fun part about this is Nippon has female samurai, doesn't even shy away from it. Nippon has female ninja, doesn't even shy away from it. There's not even any discrimination about it. You're from a samurai family? Cool. Do you want to wield a sword? Yes? Okay, here's your sword.
Nippon, racist but weirdly progressive.
We have Kawasaki, who was the leader of the rebel army. And his magic sword, the Toyota.
You're kidding me, Fee.
I'm just imagining a samurai wielding a sword that just has the vanilla box of cars on the end of it.
And it has, like, for its family crest on, like, the hilt, it is that of the Toyota, and it's not even the cool Toyota, it's just the Toyota Corolla symbol.
Um.
See, Games
Uh.
Workshop and Toyota are missing a really good crossover campaign right now.
So we have Nissan, who was Kawasaki's. Notice I'm saying Kawasaki because that's his name.
Yeah.
And what's the most famous motorcycle from Japan?
I was gonna say Yamaha, but I guess Nissan.
So we have no Kawasaki.
Oh, okay.
So we have Nissan, and he led 9 samurai units that primarily comprised of Kawasaki's bow brigades.
What?
Then we have the samurai who preferred to wield bows.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
He led the units of them.
Gotcha.
Then we have what is by far the most potentially accurate foreshadowing ever done. Remember, the Kingdom of Nippon came out in 1992.
Okay.
Fujima of the Fukushima province, who led the 7 units of kamikazes. I was not expecting real world foreshadowing when I went back and looked at this, and I'm like, wait a minute.
It's like with The Simpsons. Everyone's like, oh, The Simpsons predicted this. If any piece of media exists long enough, it will inadvertently predict something that's going to happen.
We have Najima, who was the most minor of retainers under Kawasaki, and therefore he led the Ashigaru, aka the peasant armies.
Okay.
And they were mostly spearmen. We have Itachi, who led Kawasaki's cavalry. Like, all of the rebellion people get like really emphasized here because they also helped create the basis for the modern Nipponese military by the actions and how they led and the tactics they used. Honda Suzuki.
I was going to even say that as a joke.
Right there. Honda Suzuki. Yeah, all of these guys are named after Japanese car companies. Was the most mightiest of the Vim2 monks, and
the what monks?
The monks who use bullshit magic to be super monks.
No. What is their name?
The Vim2.
Them too.
Vim, VIM dash TO.
Okay, Vim. Okay.
Like vigor, Vim.
Okay, so let me guess. The Nissan Brigade has the Ultima Division, the Leaf Division, the Maxima Division. I feel. Wait a second. Oh my god! I just realized something. So late night. So you said, when did this come out, in the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Tuner culture, like Fast and the Furious, was really popular then. That's probably why all these names are after cars.
So then we get into the ones who've actually made contact with the West.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
So first we have Nimto, who is a Vim2 mage who needs no weapons to defend himself and was accompanied by his pupil Akai. Akai being a female pupil who carried a bow stick. They are literally the Warhammer Journey to the West.
Huh.
They started Nippon, and their goal was to reach a fabled place called the Empire.
Okay.
And they did, and they reported back on it. And now inside of Marienburg, we have someone called Lady Katsi Okumoto, who is the wife of one of the Earls of Marienburg.
Wait, so do we have now an otaku in Warhammer?
He's an otaku, and he married a Japanese woman. Yes.
So tell me the name of this otaku now again. I want to hear this because now it just got really funny.
Carl Den Iuwe.
Was that his
Euwe? I have no idea how to pronounce that.
So Carl, I'm just going to call him Carl the Otaku. Besides marrying this woman, is he known for anything else, or is that his claim to fame?
Let's see. He is the man who made all who maintains and creates shrines to the cult of Shala, which is the god of healing and restoration.
Okay, so far sounding pretty cool.
He is considered the most charitable man in all of Marienburg.
Wait, so like nice guy anime protagonist gets to live the otaku dream basically in Warhammer.
Yes.
All right, let's go.
Up next we have Toko.
Also, though, side note, is there any more on that we could like not in this episode, but the religion you just mentioned? Is there any more on that, or is that pretty much all there is about it?
Oh, there's a lot on the religion. Well, we could do an entire episode on Warhammer religions.
Yeah, well, that one too would be interesting because we could then talk more about him. But okay, cool to know that at least because I'm like, okay, as war crazy as Warhammer is,
we could do an entire. We're gonna have to do an entire episode on Marienburg because it's like this uber mega city that shouldn't exist. Like when I say uber mega city, this is the Renaissance era drawing of the city, and remember that Renaissance people tend to like. Only like we think of it as just like a bundle of houses, but in fact what it is Renaissance people only bother to draw the individual like buildings that they think are important.
That's a lot of important buildings.
Yeah.
Oh damn, then I zoomed in on it. Holy wow. And that's the ones they've deemed to include. So then
that's the ones he felt like putting on there.
And then now include what the artist didn't include. So damn, okay. Like that's also the fun when we do these episodes, just like, oh yeah, we just find other topics.
So there's Toko, who is a ninja assassin in service to the Golden Lotus of Marienburg.
So wait, now we have a Nippon division in the Empire.
There's a small sect of Nippon people in the Empire in Marienburg. They even have their own area of the city called the Nipponese Quarter.
Okay. Again,
the otakus the otakus have a place to go.
Yeah, this is like we are our equivalent of like that one ramen restaurant that the otakus like to go to. But yeah, okay, cool. Again, I say this with love. This bit was written by a weeb.
And then we have Masahito, who is an ogre ninja who lives in Marienburg under the service of the Golden Lotus and serves as a bouncer for their red light district house. The woman said no. Well, I don't... Oh, shit. And the funniest blurb I have for this is that he is known to suddenly appear to the working ladies who are in distress silently before making his presence known in the most eloquent speech ever to grace an ogre's lips.
Fee, this character was... I mean, this is a compliment. Somebody went into my brain and took what I like in characters and just made it as a character. This idea of ogre, but no, he's going to be Unga Bunga, bad things. No, he's Unga Bunga, but he protects women and is as elegant as Unga Bunga can be. And I'm like, let's go! Like this, if I was to make a Warhammer character beyond the Skaven idea I had, it would be this.
He is also said to be so stealthy that he has been mistaken for the following things: a statue, a wall, a horse-drawn carriage, a horse, and in one incredible case of mistaken identity, he accidentally infiltrated the Imperial Zoo because they thought he was a griffin.
Just please tell me there's a picture or some fan art of this.
There's no artwork of this at all.
There should be. This guy is this character is like You know, every so often there's an episode where I fall in love with a character. This is him. I love this guy. I love this guy.
And he's the most eloquently spoken ogre of all time. And when I say that, he speaks Reichspiel, the language of the Empire, better than most people in the Empire and most nobles.
So it's implied then that this orc has an abnormally high intelligence then to be able to pull that off.
This ogre either has an abnormally high intelligence or an incredibly good education. And we don't know where he got it or how he got it. We just know he was trained in Nippon as a ninja.
This is what James Bond should be. And I love this. What is his name again?
Masahito.
Masahito. I love Masahito. I am creating we should create the Masahito fan club. And he needs I'm picturing him wearing a very nice 3-piece suit with glasses, and the caption reads, "She said no."
Now kindly see yourself out.
Yes.
And that's all we know about him. And I'm just like, I just want this man in my life. Like, I had to read several books about, I had to read 2 whole books about this stuff. And he comes, and Masahito comes up in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First Edition, Marienburg Sold Down the River. It is a first edition adventure. He comes up 2 more times, one of which is in a novel by Dan Abnett, and he's only there for 3 sentences in 1 chapter. And all that happens is they're at a whorehouse, and they see a man arguing with a working lady, and then just this ogre appears and goes, "She said no, sir. Now please see yourself out." And the man turns around and starts to argue. He goes, "Do you have any idea who I..." Oh shit. And he's looking up at a 10-foot tall ogre who's looking down at him with what is described by Dan Abnett as the most impassive, unamused expression that could dawn the face of a humanoid being.
God, it's hilarious. I want this guy to be the thumbnail for our I will pay money to commission an artist, fee, because this guy needs to be the I love this guy.
Let me tell you of the ogre ninja. Yeah, the ogre ninja of Marienburg. Wait a minute, what? Yes, the ogre ninja of Marienburg. He's a thing.
He's a thing, and he is amazing. Oh my god. I don't.
By the way, everybody, the Dan Abnett novel is Fell Cargo, and is actually a novel that's more focused on a pirate story in Warhammer. I hate to say this one. It is not. I had to read this whole book this week, and thankfully Ginger gave me another week to do it. But it's 254 pages, and he only appears in that 1 sentence.
Why does Warhammer do this? They make these great characters that appear for a paragraph.
I know, right?
And then they spend a whole novel on trash characters, with the exception, obviously, of Gotrek and Felix are the exception to the rule. But from what you told me, they just spend whole novels on absolute garbage characters. Yet they just throw this guy back to where he was, and I'm like, no, I want a novel. I want to wear a fan club shirt for this guy. Ugh. We need to continue because I will just gush about this guy for the rest of the time, and we're slightly pressed for time today. So okay, besides the amazing orc who I have platonic love for, what else we got?
I have the ultimate disappointment for you, Ginger.
Well, okay.
That's it.
Wait, we have no famous warriors who kicked ass at a battle.
Nope.
I was wondering why you were letting me go off on this about this orc so long.
The famous warriors, he's an ogre.
Ogre, sorry. Ogre, but
the famous warriors who kicked us out of battle were the warriors who developed the Nipponese military tactics by the things they did at the failed rebellion that Kawasaka led. That's it. However, as our second piece of official podcast artwork, I'm immediately going to commission Masahito as the thumbnail, and just have him be our thumbnail, and you guys can have Masahito. Now, if we have enough demand for it, that's you go over to the Patreon. You at least follow the Patreon, but if you pledge a few dollars, a dollar preferably, so we can get a little bit more money flowing in, and we have 10 people in the comments go, I will buy a t-shirt of Masahito, and I will have a t-shirt designed, but I need 10 comments to say I want this shirt, and we will design a t-shirt and have it ready to go, and anyone who's a patron will get a 10% discount on the t-shirt for spite purposes.
I'll just say, we'll finalize the idea, but now I'm picturing it says, Masahito fan club on it somewhere.
And under that it says, the lady said no.
Yes. Masahito has the same energy of, on an episode of Kill James Bond, they were watching one of the, I forget what Napoleon Solo is. Where you have this, I will send you the clip. You have, Napoleon Solo trying to seduce a woman, fails. And then you have this stereotypical Texan come in. And what is the first thing he does? He punches Napoleon Solo out and just says, you are giving us Americans a bad name for trying to harass women. And you're like, where the hell did this sudden, progressive Texan come from? Masahito has this same energy, and I love him. And by the way, the character's name from what I mentioned, his name's Bentley. Oh my God. Oh my God, I love these kind of characters. Oh man. So, okay, I think we'll finish this episode off because we can't top Masahito, but the usual questions. From what we do know, do we know anything about its poverty level?
Yes. That's its poverty level. Is they had far too many people, not enough of any resources on their island to maintain it, but they don't want to move people off of the island because of how hostile they view the rest of the world as being bad. And how hostile they've been to people over the years. They're pretty sure if they tried to put a colony somewhere, it would not go well
because their reputation would precede them.
Yes.
Okay. This was kind of answered, but just for the confirmation. So it seems like, for the most part, it seems weirdly progressive in terms of female-male roles in society.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of those weird things that's weirdly progressive. Okay, we figured out they basically have two general religions. Do we know anything about their diet?
It's based on rice. Rice, lots of wild game, and a heavy emphasis on fish.
Okay, that tracks. I feel like
also they grow in they're the only place in the world where you can get a mango.
Magic bullshit reasoning, go. Because I'm pretty.
Oh no, it's not a magic bullshit reasoning. The mango is just native to their island.
Oh, okay, that makes a little bit of sense.
This is also the only other form of alcohol you can get besides rice wine is mango wine and mango beer.
Fee, you know more about alcohol than I do. Is this magic bullshit, or could you, in theory, make alcohol out of mango?
Absolutely, anything with sugar can be turned into alcohol.
Okay.
I can make alcohol out of pineapple if I want to.
I feel like...
Technically, yes, I could make alcohol out of black olives. I don't want to because that would taste disgusting. Thank you, Cammy.
I feel like someone in Hawaii has definitely tried to make alcohol out of pineapple. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of the usual questions I asked. Weaponry, we obviously went over that. I feel like there's another question I always ask about the society, and I'm just spacing on it. Do you feel like there's... yeah. Oh, they're home.
To emphasize your point, if someone in Hawaii has has tried to make alcohol out of pineapple. Here is a pineapple-based scotch.
All right, there we go.
And here is somebody who lost their mind. Or no, it's advertisement. Somebody also apparently lost their mind and made alcohol out of jalapenos and pineapple for margarita mix.
Oh, okay. Like
I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. No.
I think.
Anyway.
So, what what are their homes like? Is it once again being like, stereotypical what people think of, old Japan? Like, what information we can get?
Stereotypes like hardcore. This is the nation of hardcore stereotype upon stereotype. Their clothing is what you think of from like directly out of animes like Inuyasha. Their homes are exactly what you think they are.
Okay.
Like the level of over-the-top caricature we're looking at could be described as, wow, cancel culture needs to get in here because, dear Lord.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of cancel culture because I think most of the time it's trying to cancel the wrong thing. I think in this scenario, I'm like, guys, like, I get it, but could you maybe just, I don't know, watch some anime that's been released in the past, I don't know, 20.
Could you watch anime that's been released since 1995?
Yeah, can you at least watch what was in like the prime time of Toonami at least? Like, can you watch Rurouni Kenshin or I don't there's a lot more things you guys can pull from. You don't have to research, even though research would be a good idea. This setting has such potential to be a lot, and that's just not my otaku side talking. I feel like everything's shrouded in mystery is an excuse for we don't want to write anymore. Here's the reason why we don't have a lot on them.
It's more the fact that the edition that they came out in was ending, and then they never got a new source book, so everyone just kept having to use the 6th edition source books. And there was like a 7th edition update in a White Dwarf magazine, but they did not sell super well. And I'm like, yeah, maybe if you hadn't made it, if you'd written some stories with them and ran with it, but no, your 40K stuff became too important, and now we have Warhammer the Old World back. Hey, Games Workshop, you think maybe if you invested in this properly and expanded upon it, people be interested?
Wait, what do you mean Old World is back?
So, there was a period, and I'm not gonna rag on the people who like Age of Sigmar. You can like Age of Sigmar, but there was a period in 2015 where they did the end times for Warhammer Fantasy, and we got Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and it was basically it tried to make like fantasy 40K, including here's a Sigmarite standing next to a Space Marine. That's the same scale. It really tried hard to push these ideas of this cleaned up universe and everything, and I'm like, but Warhammer Fantasy was flawed in ways that made it fun. This has,
hey bro, can I copy your homework? Yeah, change it so the teacher doesn't notice energy.
And the people who play Warhammer Fantasy are not the people who want to play Warhammer 40K.
Yeah.
We want to play, we want to play with unit formations. We want to play with how you would the shot of the age of shot and pike, where you can have knights in full plate mail riding around with blisters of pistols.
Mm-hmm.
So recently we've gotten because of the overwhelming demand and the amount of people still playing Warhammer Fantasy, they've released a new tabletop miniature game in early last year called Warhammer the Old World, which is Warhammer Fantasy being re-released, and we're seeing new Warhammer Fantasy novels and stuff, and going back to see like that kind of stuff. I have several of these novels on audiobook, by the way. They're actually really freaking good.
So it's basically doing what we wanted to do, ignoring the end times and just continuing as though the end times didn't happen.
From what I can tell, yes, that seems like the intent.
Yay.
Um, I genuinely just enjoy it. But like to emphasize this point, one of the things like from Warhammer the Old World that I have right now on audiobook sitting on my computer, is I think it's called The Lords of the Lance, which is a novel about Bretonnian knights. Except for well, you have 4 Bretonnian knights of 4 different knightly orders. One of them is a Pegasus Knight, and the Pegasus Knight is openly female because she's achieved the status where she can do that.
Huh.
2 of the knights are closed female, so no one knows they're women. And then their companion knight just assumes that they're men the whole time.
Why do I hear generic anime opening music play right now? Because this sounds like a comedy anime in the making, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Which I would probably watch. But so okay, this is gonna be sounding really arrogant. How and the Knights of Bretonnia, I assume, are typically human.
Mm-hmm. They're almost exclusively human.
How are they just really good at being androgynous?
Well, I'm gonna use a meme from a while ago.
Okay, hit me.
That came up from Game of Thrones, where someone said, "I can't tell that she's female in that armor."
Oh,
Not dying is kind of a universal thing. Just saying, armor should be practical.
okay. So again, on this episode of Weirdly Progressive, armor. Okay, yeah. Okay, that makes. So okay. We're not.
Warhammer armor has been and always will be designed with practicality in mind first. Even armor with quote boob armor on, the boob armor is actually ornamental and only layered on top to emphasize that they are a woman. In Warhammer Fantasy stuff, so like
Yeah,
it can be knocked off and then revealed that the actual plate underneath is still intact and is just a solid, well-designed piece of plate.
because anything that didn't go into barbarian Oonga Boonga, even yeah. Again, on this episode of Weirdly Progressive Things from Games Workshop.
Yeah,
But
it's
okay,
really
even
fresh.
out of unless okay, I'm not trying to dig too much. It's like, how do they explain how they're able to hide? Because
Oh, they just wear they just wear their helmet all the time when they're outside.
oh, okay, that makes a little bit more sense because you got a Mulan scenario there where But anyway, okay. No, I'm all
And then,
for
then,
this.
then, when,
It's
the-
just
then, when, the- when they go in their private tent, like their aides know, but their aides are also women who aren't going to tell on them.
okay. That makes a lot more sense. Okay.
And their squire is their son. When I say their squire is their son, their squire is their adopted son, because the 2 of them, it's implied, are in a romantic relationship.
Wait, so we have lesbian relationships? Question mark.
There's a lot of people who haven't touched this book, and I'm so glad that those people haven't touched this book because they haven't realized that it is super woke.
I kind of want to listen to this one now, Fee. You've gotten me really interested in this. And this is coming as a straight male. I am really, because as all the questions I asked, I'm like, okay, this is when you have to, like, at least I feel, it challenges you as a writer because you have all these rules that these characters have to live within, and you have to think, and even if it's magic bullshit, you still have to figure out, okay, how do I magic bullshit this problem?
But then to get back to like other books, we've gotten some of the best Warhammer books to date. from Warhammer: The Old World. We have the Warhammer horror series, um, which deals with how the old world should be horrifying and creepy and shit. You have like Castle of Blood, Dark Harvest, Briar Dark are the ones that I've already listened to / read. There's also Goth Ghoul and Black Eyed Saint. I haven't read those yet. We've got another one called The Red Feast. It is an amazing book about how there is a sect of Warhammer vampires under the Red Prince who are seeking a way to coexist with humanity and are finding it very difficult because humanity just hates them in general. But they still work to undermine other vampire plots.
Wait, so we have anti-hero, we have like good.
The Red Prince is hard anti-hero.
But it's still at the end of the day trying to do good things. Oh, which actually I just realized we haven't done a vampire episode yet.
We have not.
Pirate vampires doesn't count. We need it because I want to.
Do you want a real vampire episode next? Is that what we're doing?
I think that might be a good idea because I want to dig it. Because I'm not saying this was a disappointing one, but I'm like, please tell me there's a lot more characters, there's a lot more history with the vampires, please.
There is.
All right, yeah, I think that's a good way we need to end this one. But though. Oh yeah,
I am gonna lean in here, and I am gonna mention one thing.
Okay.
And people are gonna scowl at me. One of the greatest hidden gems of Warhammer Fantasy are the Total War Warhammer companion books, written by Andy Hall and Chris Gombold. These are minor writers in the realm of Warhammer, but this is all they do is they write the companion storybooks to go with the Warhammer Fantasy video games, and genuinely some of the best stuff, especially the recent Things in the Woods and Master of the Meteor Wind and Son of Kislev, could not. And David Geimer wrote those first two. Andy Hall wrote Son of Kislev, and boy, I was not prepared. I thought, oh, I'm just going to listen to a Warhammer audiobook, probably fall asleep around the third chapter. I ended up staying up till 6 in the morning when it finished, and then slept till noon instead.
Wow.
Because it's very rare for me to get so lost in an audiobook that I can't sleep. I have to know what happens next. And Graham McDeal's Lord of the Lance is by far one of the best Warhammer books we've ever gotten. And I mean one of the best Warhammer books we've ever gotten with a period on the end of that. Eisenhorn is second place. And Eisenhorn is the book I tell people to read if they want to get into 40K.
Wait, what?
Eisenhorn now has a second place.
Wait, just to make sure, Eisenhorn is 40K, not fantasy.
Eisenhorn is 40K, not fantasy, and is widely considered the best Games Workshop book to ever be produced.
Oh, gotcha.
And I'm telling you, Lord of the Lance is genuinely a better book.
All right.
Anyway, that's it. Hit the like button. We went an extra 20 minutes of ranting for no other reason than we could.
Just because the fact we didn't have much more, because Games Work, yeah, because they're like, well, we don't have much more.
We will see you next week. Now I have to ask a question because I have to verify which vampire we're talking about. Do you want vampires in general? Do you want vampires of Sylvania? Or do you want vampires of the New World?
I think it would be best we just start with vampires in general. Then we can split. Okay. In future, we can split off.
Sure. It's gonna be an episode.
Oh, I'm certain for it. That's kind of why I want to pick it.
Because Warhammer has gone out of their way to try to include like every vampire mythos in the world.
All in the same place.
Anyway, say goodnight, Ginger.
Good night, good morning, good day, whatever day. Hope it goes well. Peace.
Peace out, everybody. So hi everyone. Yeah, I'm making a Patreon video as is appropriate. And in the meantime, the only engineer of chaos right now is Stagio Rose. I get it. The economy's kind of fucked, but somebody, anybody, get on up there. Executive Studios, Fop Doodle on Assignment Spaghetti, Stargazer Song, Sundancer, Thomas Curry. Thanks for keeping the damn lights on. Special Writing Cannons, Drinking Buddy, Solar Aura. You guys have been here for years, and I genuinely appreciate you. Twitty Lounge Pass, Bronze, Sean, you're doing good work. Explosives R&D team. Somebody's got to make the explosives around here. Pony Chick, Ryan Dragonwolf, Stormy Sky, Zeeb, and the other person that I missed. I'm sorry I missed you. Office Raiders, Brendan Kendall, Insane Scorpion, Justin Ragers, Carl Branson, Legate Lori, which, by the way, it's her entire fault that we have any RimWorld series. You should be thanking Lori. Testing audience, Paulus the Mad. Meh? Seriously, your name is Meh? Producers credits, Chaos Blur, or David Birch. Final Sight is the reason why we got to play Vampire the Masquerade over Christmas. You can thank Final Sight. Also, Gare Riviere, he's been here since 2014. Anyway, see you all later.